I would say it's more like scary to do those songs because it's like, you know how much they mean to people and you obviously don't want to like ruin that for them, and you don't want to be the person that they're like, oh, they didn't do a good job on that song. So I'd say those are typically the hardest ones, or people with like die-hard fan bases who just love the artist so much. And like, we get it, we all have one of those. So we don't want to be the band that messes that up for somebody.
Welcome to Not in a Huff with Jackson Huff, where we interview newsmakers, storytellers, and all-around interesting people. Sit back, relax, unless you're driving, and enjoy the show. Here's Jackson.
Hello. I am Jackson Huff. This is Not in a Huff. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, really appreciate it. This week, speaking with Audra Miller. Now, Audra is the lead singer for a YouTube cover band. Now, I say that with not at all encompassing what she does. The band is First to 11. It was a band that was put together in a very interesting way. It's a band that kind of got famous by doing covers, whether it is in a unique First to 11 style, whether it is simply making the lead singer a female rather than a male for some of these really famous songs. It's always a unique look at the songs, and it's always really, really well received. When I say really well received, you look at the YouTube channel, they have over 2 million subscribers and more than 800 million views on their videos. Now, they've been doing it for years and years and years now. They try to put out a video pretty much successfully every single week with a different cover. And this week we speak with Audra, who leads that band in the singing department. When I say leads, it's unique in the way that the First to 11 has members who do very different parts of it, whether it's the production side, whether it is setting up all of the music. They've kind of found a way to kind of streamline the process and make a great product each and every week. We're going to talk to her about how she joined the band when she was very young, how she's dealt with the fame of being one of the biggest cover bands out there, how she dealt with auditioning for one of the biggest singing competitions out there. We're going to talk about what the future holds and just kind of the day-to-day life of somebody who puts out a video that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people see weekly. Really, really awesome conversation. I think you're going to really enjoy this, learning more about the music industry, learning more about the world of YouTube, learning more about just dealing with your fans and your haters. Really, really awesome conversation. I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Of course, if this is your first time listening or you haven't already, go follow along on Instagram, on TikTok, Not Enough Podcast. Of course, follow along on Spotify and on Apple. Helps a ton. Leave a 5-star rating and a written review. Helps even more. But without further ado, here is Audra Miller. Ms. Miller, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. Hardest question of the day. Just introduce yourself.
Oh my gosh, that is a hard question, actually. I'm Audra Miller, and I am the lead singer in First to 11.
Well, awesome. I want to probably ask you the question that anytime if you've ever been interviewed that you've been asked, but we've got to cover it, and that's, how did you get your start in music? What made you kind of want to start this whole thing up?
Yeah, so I have been singing for a very long time. I love to sing along to Disney movies and musicals and stuff. When I was little, my parents were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to tell her that she is just not a good singer? And then one day it must have clicked because apparently they were like, oh my gosh, wait, now we need to like take her somewhere and see if she actually is good. So they signed me up for voice lessons when I was 8 years old. And I started taking lessons and started doing musicals and all kinds of stuff when I was in like middle school. And eventually I signed up for in Erie what was called the Rock School. And it was the guitar player for Sylvan Ryan. He was in charge of the whole program. And I signed up to be a vocalist in a band and had to send in, like a CD of me singing so you could hear what I sounded like and write down, the kinds of music I like to listen to. And I loved doing musicals and I loved being a part of that just because it was a way for me to sing and be out there doing that. But it wasn't exactly the type of, music that I was like interested in doing. I like wanted to be in a band and sing the songs that I wanted to sing. So I signed up to be put into the rock school program, and he ended up putting me into First to 11. So it just kind of worked out great. And that was when I was 11 years old, and now I'm 24. So it's been a long time.
So was this band already like fleshed out, or you just created the band with those same people? What did that look like?
Yeah, so there was actually the band looked a lot different than it does now. A lot of the people who were originally in the band, with like all of us at the beginning, have went off to college and did kind of like different things. So Ryan and me really have been there since like the almost very beginning. They had two other singers before I joined, basically in the span of like 2 years, who like did it and then stopped and did it and stopped. And then when I joined, that was the last of it. So yeah, we had I think 6 members when I first joined, and now we're down to 4. A couple have switched in and out just from people, going and doing other things. But it's been basically the same idea since then.
Oh, that's awesome. And I want to kind of get to what that ideal is
Yeah.
here in a minute, but we know how it formed. Did it happen when you were 8 years old? No, that's when you first kind of wanted to get into singing. So
Yeah.
around 11, how did it form and when did it form?
So it was when I was 11. All the other members had started taking lessons from Ryan before that. So he was their guitar teacher, their bass teacher. And he was teaching them and decided, oh, maybe I should like put these kids in a band together. All the guys who were in the band had like gone to school together and knew each other and were friends. So it kind of was like the perfect storm. He was like, I'm going to put these kids together and then basically find them a singer. And that happened to just be the perfect timing when I signed up to join the rock school. I could have been put into any band that he was putting together, but I just got put into this one. So it was pretty lucky.
Or is this person that put it together, are they still at all involved, or have you guys just went off and done your own thing now?
Yeah, he's the guitar player.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I was thinking about asking this question. I was like, nah, I'm not going to. I'm going to now for sure, just because now that I heard that it happened when you were 11, it makes things totally different. I mean, what is it like, I guess, to have the majority of the band obviously be men? As an adult, that wouldn't be that big of a deal, but at 11 years old, I feel like that matters a lot.
Oh, it did. It was super weird.
Yeah.
I would say there was a solid like, well, we were all in middle school when we joined. So you're already at like the most awkward time of your life. You're meeting all of these new people who have known each other, who go to school together, who are friends. And I basically was coming in as like an outsider to all of them. I basically talked to none of them for the first 2 years of knowing them because I was like, just don't I don't want to do this. I was so nervous. Obviously, like we talked and we had practice and we saw each other all the time, but like we didn't like talk to each other on a daily basis. We weren't texting each other. We weren't like talking all the time like we are now. But yeah, it was weird. I used to like bring my friends to like my shows and I would start to like be like, oh, these are my friends so that I could have like more people I knew around me instead of just all these guys who were friends with each other. But yeah, it was super weird. I remember Ryan, he told me later in my life that when the first day that I was coming to practice for the first time, they were hiding in the driveway watching me drive down with my parents so that they could see who their new singer was.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Did they, I mean, maybe you didn't talk to them a lot in the very beginning, but were they relatively receptive to I guess, your talents, or was there pushback there?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was so awesome. I did the first practice with them, and then that weekend, it was on like a Thursday, and that weekend we had a show together. It was super quick. Yeah, it worked out really well.
No, that's awesome. I want you to kind of talk a little bit about we know how it started. We know kind of how you were thrust into it, but talk about exactly what First to 11 is. What kind of band people I guess it should expect if they're checking them out.
Yeah, well, we basically started doing almost exactly what we're doing now, just on a smaller scale. So we would take songs that we loved, songs that we wanted to do, we would all bring them to practice and we would learn them. We would play shows, we would go out and play like around where we're from in Erie, Pennsylvania for like an hour, 2 hours, and we got really used to playing covers. And so Ryan suggested, hey, maybe we should like film these and post them online. And obviously we were young, and so our parents were definitely like a little worried about putting us out on the internet, but they were like, yeah, you know what, let's just try it. Like, let's see if it works. They were really supportive of it. And we put out our first video on YouTube, and basically overnight it got like 100,000 views, which was pretty crazy at the time. I was like, I think 14. It was like a couple years later when we put out our first video. And when we saw the response to it, we were like, oh my gosh, we have to keep doing this. And so ever since then, we've been putting out covers. It started out very slow, where we would do like a top 40 song once a month, and we would like really, I mean, we didn't really know what we were doing. So it took us that long to kind of put together a song, a recording, a mix, a video. And now we put out a cover every single week. So we've definitely gotten a lot better at it. It's
Yeah.
basically like a machine now. So we've really honed in on it.
So you're talking about that machine. How do you guys, given that you've been doing it for so long now, how do you guys decide what covers to do, and then maybe more importantly, how to make them your own?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I think it gets a little bit harder and easier, I guess, the longer it goes on, because you can basically look at the songs that you've done and what has done well, and then kind of go off of that and be like, well, if this song did well, then this song will also probably do well. And we also take a lot of suggestions and feedback from our fans and from the comments and from our live streams and our social media, because we are really doing these covers for them. So if there's a song that we see a lot of people suggesting or a lot of people asking for, we usually do it. And then it's just, sometimes it's songs we like or we think might do good, or it's based off of old videos, or it's fan suggestions or whatever. But yeah, it's basically a mix of all of those things. And then we kind of have a system of like, if we're doing a new song or a pop song, we tend to like change it up a little bit more and make it our own. But if we're doing a rock song or a classic rock song, like we usually don't have to change them as much, because the big change is having a female vocalist over a male vocalist for those songs. So that's kind of where it comes into like figuring out what to basically first to 11ify and what to kind of leave alone to like appease the fans of that genre.
No, that makes sense for sure. And I want to talk a lot more about kind of those covers and things like that. But I want to play our first game here now.
Yes.
Now this is the time that I always say it helps only slightly if you've ever listened to another episode. But if you haven't, that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to tell you the name of the 3 games that we play. We're going to play 2, so there's going to be one that's left out. But just out of the names, which one do you want to start out with? Podcast realities, rapid fire, generally no follow-up, or Bravo, your picture's being framed? Which one do you want?
Gosh, this is so scary. Okay, I'm gonna go with number 2, rapid fire.
All right. So rapid fire, generally no follow-up, is a segment that I ask the guest a series of 8 relatively silly questions, but that I have my own strong opinions about, and I sometimes unsuccessfully get through them without follow-up, but we'll go through them as fast as we can. All right, you ready? All right. First one is, you're in a hurry. What's your go-to fast food, and what's the order?
Ooh, my go-to fast food, I feel like it's gotta be Taco Bell. I'm a big Taco Bell girl. I always get a burrito and the cinnamon twists and some kind of drink. It doesn't really matter. Some pop, probably.
I like it. You have $3. What are you spending it on?
A coffee.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
What's the most used app on your phone?
Ooh, probably TikTok, I'd say. Yeah.
Socks with sandals, acceptable or no?
Acceptable.
All right. Well, now I ask everybody about music, but it means even more to ask you. What's one song that anytime you hear, it's always a banger and it gets you excited?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard. That's so crazy. Well, right now I've been listening to a lot of Katy Perry, and so I think I'm gonna say Waking Up in Vegas by Katy Perry.
All right. What's one song on the flip side, maybe harder or easier, that you hear and you just immediately want to change the channel?
Dance Monkey.
All right, I like it. What's one place that you've always wanted to visit but you've not gotten to yet?
Ooh, I would like to go to Europe.
One thing that you're holding on to that you really should throw out.
So much. So many clothes, so many old things that I don't need anymore. Literally everything. So much.
You can't you don't so much that you can't even name anything, huh?
I can't even. There's so many things. I have every old pass from every tour we've played. Some of them are like paper and falling apart. I have like ticket stubs. I have so many random things.
I like it. All right. Well, that's rapid fire, generally no follow-up. None of your answers were too crazy.
Yes.
I mean, I don't feel like socks and sandals are acceptable, but who's to say? I guess
Sometimes you got a pair of Birkenstocks and you got to throw on socks with it. There's nothing you can do.
I think there is, but we'll move on. Let's go back to those covers, and you talk about how you're putting one out every week now. In all the songs, and maybe it's not even hard anymore just because, it is that well-oiled machine, but what's a song or two that you've thought about doing and you realize this is a big undertaking, whether you stopped trying to do it or whether you pushed on, but what's been some of the most challenging songs to cover?
Yeah, I would say that's a great question. A lot of the older songs that we do are usually typically a little bit harder. I'd say the hardest one that we tried to cover and eventually did cover is basically any Queen song. There's just so much that goes into that, like vocally, instrumentally. Obviously, there's a huge fan base behind them where like if you mess up a Queen song, they're coming after you. Like they don't want to hear you mess up a Queen song. So that is definitely like a challenge. Any band or artist that has like a really strong fan base, I would say Linkin Park is another one that I wouldn't say is necessarily like, I would say it's more like scary to do those songs because it's like, how much they mean to people and you obviously don't want to like ruin that for them and you don't want to be the person that they're like, oh, they didn't do a good job on that song. So I'd say those are typically the hardest ones, or people with like die-hard fan bases who just love the artist so much. And like we get it, we all have one of those. So we don't want to be the band that messes that up for somebody.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like it's a delicate balance of
Yes.
obviously you want to cover these songs because they have huge fan bases that and it's gonna bring in, views, but at the same time they have huge fan bases that all have their own opinions. So
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I'd like to see, I don't know how long ago you covered Linkin Park songs, but it'd be funny if you cover them and everybody's like, women should not be the ones singing these songs. And now you'd be like, well, what now?
It totally happened. It did happen. And
Yeah.
then we did the new song and everybody was like, this is great.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. You talked about how you get the ideas, and some of it is fans asking you to cover different songs. Are there any songs that are on your never to cover list? It doesn't matter how much people ask you.
I'm sure there is. A lot of the times we get this request to cover a Dragon Force song, and we literally just can't do it. There's a lot of like YouTube cover bands who cover this song, and they're all like shreddy like guitar players, and we're like, that is not us. We don't do that. And then there actually is a band, the Eagles, actually do not let their songs be covered on YouTube. So we've gotten a ton of requests to do Hotel California. We even started a cover for it a couple years ago, and we reached out to the company that we like release our music with on like streaming platforms and on YouTube, and they like claim our covers for us, and they were like, you actually can't put this out. Like it will get taken down, it will get blocked from your channel. So that's another one that's like tough because that's a huge song that people obviously want to hear us do, and we actually just can't do it.
That's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, obviously the Eagles have a ton of great songs, but
Yeah.
do you have you ever ran into that before? Or is that really just them?
No, it's really just them. A lot of people honestly want their songs to be covered. because they get a percentage of that royalty from it's their song, you know? And a lot of people are like, oh, if it's an old song, maybe it's a way to get it back out there again to a new audience. But yeah, it definitely does happen every once in a while. There's a couple of times it happens to us with AC/DC where they think that we're using like their actual audio, and it's actually just like our re-recorded audio of it, but it must sound so close that YouTube like picks it up and blocks the video, and we have to like go through this whole process of being like, it's our recording, we redid everything, but it's very rare that it happens.
Yeah, no, I get that. So when you guys are deciding to cover something and you want to, as you said, first to 11 it,
Yeah.
what does that look like? Does each person come in with, this is what I want to do at the vocal level, this is what I want to do with the guitar? Do you guys just work collaboratively through the whole process, or what's that look like?
It's actually very different than you would think. So basically, every person in our band has like one main job that they do. So I am doing all the vocals, obviously, for every song. Sam, our drummer, is doing all of the music for every single cover, everything, guitar, bass, drums, every arrangement. Trevor, our bass player, is doing all the videos and editing them and putting those together. And then Ryan does all of our booking and management. So we basically each have like one thing that we do. And that's like kind of how we've been able to get so much done, is because we just all focus on our thing that we're supposed to do and we're able to just kind of crank stuff out. And then obviously we all get together once a week and we film videos. We usually do 2 videos a day. So we get 2 videos done every single week.
Well, I think that probably has helped you guys a lot to have kind of
Yeah.
those lanes to stay in.
Yes.
I wouldn't have thought that. I assume, if you're playing a lot of them live at some point, your drummer kind of knows the skill and capability of all the other people, hopefully, that they
Yeah.
don't write a part that they're like, I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it honestly, at first, I think it was harder because when you have, they each, for a while, everybody was doing a cover and splitting them up. And that was honestly making it more difficult because things started to sound different and parts were getting difficult for each person to learn when they were doing other things. So when we switched over to this, and now we just have Sam doing all of the arrangements, it's really easy because if he thinks that maybe there's something that might be a little more difficult for Ryan to play, he can film a video of himself playing it, send it to Ryan, and Ryan can learn it before we film the video. So it's really helpful to have everybody kind of focus on one thing.
No, that's awesome. I wouldn't have thought of that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to kind of talk a little bit more about the process of putting the videos out. So you talked about, apparently you have just one person that is kind of responsible for the entire video process. Talk a little bit about, they come out every week. So what's that look like when it comes to actually getting those videos out and I guess making them look aesthetically pleasing?
Yeah. So we have kind of curated a list of the shots that we need for every video from doing this for so long. I'd say the only thing that's like a little different is if we ever shoot a video like out of the studio and it's a little more complex. But for our in-studio videos, we have 2 people shooting at one time. So we're getting 2 shots every single take that we do. We usually do about 6 takes of the song, so we have 12 shots by the end of the video. And then Trevor takes all of those and edits everything together into the video. And it's basically up to his discretion what looks good. He's really, really great at editing videos, so we let him kind of do his thing with that. And then what he does is send it to me, and I do all the thumbnails and the uploading to YouTube and to our, it's called Studio 71. They're like our distribution company. So I upload it to them and they do all of like the streaming platforms for us. Everything gets put out there. And we actually do put out our YouTube videos a week early on our Patreon. So we're always like basically a week or 2 weeks ahead of schedule, having those uploaded before they actually come out on YouTube.
I like that. This is maybe a tougher question, given, you're not going through this whole process to have videos that don't do well. Obviously, you're wanting them all to be successful, but in these years of doing that, can you think of any that you didn't think were going to be all that successful and they wound up blowing up? And then the other side of things where you thought, oh yeah, this is going to be amazing and barely anybody wanted any part of it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it happens all the time. It's a little bit easier, I think, to think about things like that because we're putting out so many videos. So like if you have a video that does bad one week, it's not as scary because the next week you have another one coming out. It's just that constant flow of videos that makes it less chaotic. But off the top of my head, especially for ones we didn't think were gonna do like amazing that did, we did a cover of All the Things She Said a couple years ago. Now that song is huge, which is crazy. But even when we put that out, probably 4 or 5 years ago, it blew up on our YouTube channel. And more recently, we did a cover of Shut Up and Dance, and it ended up getting 1 million views in one day, which was so weird. We were like totally not at all expecting that to happen. And sometimes it goes the opposite way. I'd say with some of the older, like classic rock songs, sometimes we're like, oh, this one's gonna do great. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it happened a couple of times, and then just nobody watches it. And we're like, that's so weird. Like, classic rock is like kind of like our thing that I'd say like people come to our channel for most of all. Our biggest video is Sweet Child of Mine. So we always are like, oh, that's gonna be a good one. That's really gonna hit with the audience. And they just are like, no, we don't care about that song. I'm like, all right, that's fine.
You never can tell. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
hard to
really
probably.
hard. Yeah.
I mean, obviously those classic songs. There's a lot. The market's a little bit saturated when it comes to other people covering it. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean it's tough to tell. And obviously, if you haven't figured it out after
Yeah.
this many years, I don't think anybody's going to.
Right? We've been trying to, and it's so hard. You just can never put your finger on it. It could be anything. It could be the video, it could be your version, it could just be that that song isn't as popular at the moment. It literally could be anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And you guys have dabbled in some of your some original work too, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, we had an original band for a while, Concrete Castles, and basically the whole point of First 11 at the beginning was to do covers so that we could do original music, which was so fun. We got to do it, and it was the best time ever. We put out 2 albums, we went on a bunch of tours. It was super, super fun. And now we're starting to maybe dabble in some original music as First to 11 again soon too.
Yeah. You talk about tours. So you talk about some of the tours you've been able to be a part of as First to 11.
Yeah, we most recently have just been on 2 tours with Boyce Avenue, who is another YouTube cover band, a huge, huge cover band. They basically started at the beginning of YouTube, like right when people started putting music out on there. And going on tour with them was so fun. That's actually the first opening tour we've ever done as First to 11. We've done, I think, 4 or 5 headline tours of our own, and then we opened for them on this tour, and it was definitely different than what we're used to. They do all acoustic stuff on their tour, and we have never done that, but we got to play an acoustic set as our opening set, and that was really fun. We did a whole acoustic EP specifically for the tour, and we like made these songs sound amazing to play live, and we all sang together, and it was a really, really cool experience and something that we've never done before. So that was really, really cool of them to bring them out with us, and we're hopefully doing some more headlining tours of our own towards the end of this year.
I love that. And I have heard of Boyce Avenue. And
Yeah.
this is a tough question to ask because you very well may say we did that for 2 years straight. But have you done kind of? I know they're kind of known for like meshing songs together. Is that something you guys have ever dabbled in?
We have. We actually, one of like the very first covers we put out on YouTube, we did like a love song mashup for Valentine's Day. And honestly, YouTube makes it, or at that point, made it really hard to do like mashups of songs, just with like how the content claiming went for all these different artists and songs that you had in a video. Doing it live is a different story. And Boyce does that, and it's crazy. I'm like, that's all them. But now YouTube has kind of changed it up, and they make it a little bit easier to do those. We haven't done one since that has changed on YouTube, but it's definitely not off the table. They just take like a little bit more time and a little bit more extra planning. So in this like first half of the year where we were super busy, we just don't have time to do like extra kind of stuff like that. But sometimes when we slow down in like the fall and the winter, we'll kind of start to dabble in some new things.
I like that a lot. And you talked about we've talked a lot about the production of these videos, talked a little bit about the touring. So what part, I guess, do you find the most, I guess, joy? And obviously you love both, at least hopefully, but what do you like better? The producing these songs and getting them out on YouTube, or being able to go on the road and see people enjoying them?
It's hard because I think in my head, I think about it as if we weren't putting out these songs on YouTube and we didn't gain this fan base on there, we never would be able to go on tour. So I think there's something to be said for that. I also just love recording all these covers. I feel like it helps me personally just get better at my craft at singing when you're just doing this all the time. So that's like a really cool thing, like personally for me, is I feel like it helps me kind of learn new things and be able to experiment a little more. But I do just love touring so much. It's so rewarding to go on tour and you see this fan base that you build online, but you don't think about how big it actually is until you're going and you're seeing these people in person who are coming up to you and being like, I've watched you since your very first video. And that's just like so crazy to think, like, you've been watching us. It's actually, this year is our 10-year anniversary on YouTube. So it's like, you've been watching us for 10 years. They basically watched us grow up and now they get to come see us live, which is just so cool. I just love getting able to talk to the fans and interact with them and be able to see them at our shows. That's like probably my favorite part.
I love that for sure. And are you ready for that second game?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So we already did rapid fire, generally no follow-up. So your two choices are podcast realities and Bravo, your pictures being framed.
Which one is your favorite?
Well, I wrote them both, so it's hard for me to tell you.
True.
The podcast realities has a little bit of a goofy tie-in to the last one, if you're wondering.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. So podcast realities, this is a segment of the podcast where we realize a podcast interview is one that is showing very little of the interviewee's environment. And this podcast has existed long enough to know that some guests are taking advantage of that very limited view. So between iPhones being propped up on boxes, having to keep your cat off the keyboard, or dress shirts on the top and pajama pants on the bottom, it's fun to know exactly how we're meeting you. This is 5 questions, starting off easy, getting slightly more intense. Nothing's crazy. Of course, you can skip on any of them that you want. Are you ready?
So funny. Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So how are you joining us today? Are you on your phone, computer, something else?
I'm on my computer, on my laptop.
On your laptop. All right. Sometimes people get all dressed up and have these amazing backgrounds. Sometimes people say, oh, crap, 5 minutes before I've got an interview and jump on. How prepared did you get for our conversation today?
Well, let me tell you, so it's very cold where I'm from normally, and it's very nice out today. So basically an hour before I got on this, I was outside doing yard work, but I came in an hour before, got ready, ate lunch, and then got on. But I am in my guest room and I'm doing laundry, so I just have an empty bed behind me.
I like it. Yeah, so not to be outdone by our babbling, are there any animals that are present that didn't get the 15 minutes of fame?
My dog is, but she's sleeping in the living room. She's shut out of this room because she would be just too much of a pain if she was in here. She'd want to get on the camera all the time.
Yeah, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a pit bull. Let me pull up a picture while you ask me the next one so you can see her.
All right. Here's where the little tie-in goes. I joke in the intro about pajama pants, and I leave it to TMI whether people are actually wearing pants when they join me. But did you come to this interview wearing shoes or at least your fanciest pair of fuzzy slippers? The only answer that's unacceptable is if you're wearing socks and sandals.
No, I do have slippers on though. I have my UGG slippers on.
All right.
This is our little friend who's out the door right now.
Aw. What is it? It's a girl?
It's a girl, yes.
What's her name?
Her name is Petunia.
Petunia. I love it. How old is Petunia?
She is about to turn 3 years old.
I love it. Pit bulls are some of the coolest dogs. I like them a lot.
Yes, she is the sweetest.
Yeah. All right, last question. you've already kind of done it, but I'm not going to ask. I always say, don't worry, I'm not going to ask for proof. But if you had to do a 360 of the room you're in, are you at all embarrassed by the tidiness?
No, it's literally just getting clean. I have people coming to visit me this weekend, so there's just nothing in here. I'm doing all the laundry. I'm emptying out the room.
I like it. All right, that's podcast realities.
I love it. That was a good one.
Good. I'll tell you what the other one is. It's just you basically getting on a soapbox and giving props to somebody or something that's made you happy in the last week.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
That's like your pictures being framed like for employee of the month or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, but you don't get to answer that one because you didn't pick it.
Oh.
So the next one is about kind of the world of touring, and you've been a band for a long time, and you talked about how kind of in the beginning you guys would just go out for an hour and play. That lends itself to sometimes playing in some interesting places. Now, you were probably shielded from the most interesting places given you were kids at the beginning.
Yes.
But what are some of the most unique places you've performed?
Oh man, honestly, I feel like we have some unique places just from being kids. There was like a lot of places that we weren't allowed to play. So like we played like outside of a casino on like the patio. We played at schools, elementary schools. We played on the beach in Erie, which was super fun. Yeah, there's a lot of like outdoor festivals where we would just like play on the street because we weren't allowed to go into any bars, so we would just play outside of them. There was a lot of workarounds for us. But I feel like the coolest place that we got to play when we were younger is we used to do this competition called the High School Rock Off when we were in high school, and it was held at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. So we got to play there a couple times, and we won the competition. We actually got to play at Vans Warped Tour when we were in high school. So those are probably like the two coolest things that we got to do.
That is awesome. I remember those very well.
Yeah,
I was going to say that I don't think they exist anymore, but did it come back? And
it's coming back. It's coming
it's coming
back.
back. All right. Would that be something you'd be down for again?
I mean, it definitely. I feel like we'd have to get our original music up and running again, but it was so much fun. It was, especially when we were in high school, that was like we used to go every year all together. So it was really cool that we actually got to go do it.
No, I like that. And the next question I ask you, knowing the answer to this, but you've kind of honed your skills on being able to sing cover songs very, very well and being able to do it kind of in your own style. So that lends itself really well to some of these these reality singing competitions and being successful there. So have you ever dabbled in any of that?
I have a little bit, yeah. I actually auditioned for The Voice when I was, probably 16, I think. And I got flown to Hollywood. I made it to the last round right before like the on TV, and then they just cut a bunch of people and I went home. But it was fun. I mean, those things are definitely weird and interesting, and especially for somebody in high school, it can like mess with your brain a little bit. But it was cool. I got to see and meet a lot of people who I still am friends with on social media and talk to all the time. So that was a really cool thing. I got to go with my mom because I wasn't old enough to go by myself, so she got to come do the whole thing with me, which was really cool that we got to do it together.
No, that's awesome. And when I'm going to interview somebody, obviously cover songs, I can't have those summarized and sent to me. But my editor, when people make talking videos, they send me a bunch of summarized videos. So I
Yes.
know that you put out an entire video talking about
Yes,
your
yeah.
experience with The Voice, and it was a unique experience. So I recommend people
Yes.
go check out that video.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a little bit of like a behind the scenes of what it's like, because a lot of those things are very different than what they show on TV. Going and actually doing it in person, it's definitely like kind of a wake up call if you're watching the shows to be like, whoa, this is like what actually happens, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've talked to a lot of people in the music world, from country singers to classically trained opera singers, and it always surprises me kind of their answer to what's your own favorite music. I've had country singers actually, when they listen to their own stuff, they love to listen to screamo or something.
Yeah.
What's your favorite music?
So I actually grew up listening to country music. I kind of grew up in like the middle of nowhere, and so that's what all my family listened to, all my friends. So I listened to that for a long time, and then I got into like the more female-fronted rock bands when I was in like middle school and high school. And then I'd say now in my life, I've kind of transitioned back into listening to like country music. And obviously, like I keep up with all the trends, all the new pop stuff, all the new rock stuff, because it's part of the job, you know, but I enjoy listening to a lot of the new pop music, a lot of Sabrina Carpenter, and I listen to a lot of Ella Langley. I'm a big country music fan, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you sing with a lot of obviously passion behind it. So I don't know whether you're always, loving it or whether you're just do what you need to do. Have you ever had to record a song that you're like, I do not like this song?
So many times, like so
Ah,
many times. I mean, you have to think of the sheer amount of songs
right.
that we do. And obviously, I just told you what I like to listen to. So there's definitely some where the song comes my way. After we always talk about all the songs together, and we'll just be, sometimes I don't even know what they are. And it goes the other way too. Sometimes I'll suggest one and they have no idea what it is. Because we all listen to a lot of different stuff, which is helpful. But there's sometimes where I'll get the song and I'll go to listen to it to start recording it, and I'm like, what did I get myself into?
Hmm.
Why did I say yes to this? It happens mostly with like the rock, like we've done a couple like 3 Days Grace covers. Those ones are really hard to do. There's a couple Blink 182 songs that are just really hard to do. Some that we get are really just like I am still a female singer and they're just a little bit out of the range where it's like I feel like I sound bored saying this. I'm like I'm not. I just there's no other way to do it. It's just easy, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's hope, obviously you already told us about your biggest video, the Sweet Child of Mine video, 75 million views. So I'm sure people know you as that song. So hopefully you don't hate performing that one.
No, it's a love-hate relationship with that song. I think I that was actually I performed that song at one of my very first shows with First 11. So we've been playing that song for 10, 12 years now. And I feel like I've gotten good at it. Like I know I'm not going to mess it up anymore. I mean, it's a hard song to sing, but I'm like I have mastered this song. I will never mess it up again. It just feels like I could do it in my sleep now. I'm like I could do this with my eyes closed. I'm good. So that's cool. We actually did an acoustic version of that song for our tour with Boyce Avenue. And that was really fun too, because it was like cool to do a new take on something that we've been doing for so long. And I think that our audience actually really liked it. So we kind of toss out the idea of playing that live now and doing it acoustic instead. So we might switch it up a little bit.
Oh, that'd be cool. Well, I'm not going to ask you about the next two. Green Day, there's a lot of people that do not, people either love or hate Green Day.
Yes,
And
I know.
and then your third biggest one is a Metallica song, which I feel like is not the easiest one to do.
Metallica, you just asked me songs I don't like to record. Those might be my least favorite. We've done a
Yeah.
lot of Metallica songs and I'm not gonna say hate, but I've disliked every single one.
Yeah, I hear you. So in starting to wrap things up, I've recorded and covered so many different songs. Have you gotten feedback from any of the original artists ever that say, hopefully they say they like it. They don't say
Yes.
it's terrible, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've actually had a lot of people kind of respond to our songs, whether it was like giving it a like on social media, reposting it. Our biggest one all the time, First Eleven's biggest fans, is actually Nickelback, which is so crazy. But every time we do a Nickelback song, they like post it on their social media and send us a message and repost the videos like crazy. We had Metallica like and repost our most recent cover that we did of Master of Puppets, which was really cool actually. And we did a lot of stuff when we were younger. We were on like this glamour magazine thing, and a couple artists that we covered actually sent us a video and like reacted to our covers, which I think they're still on the internet somewhere, but We did one with Marshmello. We did a Marshmello song, and he like sent us a video, and it was like, "Thanks so much for doing my cover, my song," and that was pretty cool.
No, that is awesome for sure. Yeah. So you talked about having these, these actual whole albums of covers and that people can check out. Tell people how they can find. I mean, this is such a non-question these days, but I still got to ask it.
Yeah.
Where are they going to find all of this music and get their fill of First to 11?
Yes, so you can follow all of our social medias. They're all first to 11, all spelled out, and you can go to our website, first to11.com. We have physical copies of all of our CDs and downloads and all kinds of other merch on there for everybody to check out.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
And there you have it. I really, really appreciate Audra joining me. Learned a ton about the music industry, learned a ton about just being somebody who produces videos every week, learned a ton about just how much goes into releasing these covers and making sure that it's uniquely First to 11, but still kind of retaining those fans of those classic songs. Learned a lot about just the bands that will and will not let bands release covers of them. That was something I had no idea about. Go check out First to 11 if you haven't already. All over YouTube. If you haven't listened, you're one of the few. Like I said, over 800 million listens at this point, over 2 million followers. So definitely check it out. There's a reason that so many people like them, and it's because really, really awesome music and so all encompassing. If you may not like a cover one week, but the next week may very well be one of your favorite songs of all time. So check them out for sure. All the links to their information will be in the show notes. I'll put Audra's personal pages in the show notes as well. Urge you to follow along, check out all of that for sure. This is your first time listening, or you haven't already. Maybe you're a First to 11 fan that decided to listen to this episode. I've interviewed quite a few people in the music industry already, some people that have written some of the biggest, catchiest music out there, but not just music. I've interviewed actors, Olympic gold medalists, true crime people, all kinds of things. So urge you to check those out. Really appreciate it. Go follow along on Apple and on Spotify so you don't miss future interviews and the over 300 plus interviews that I've already done. Check those out. I really appreciate that. But until next time, take it away, Chris.
This has been Not in a Huff with Jackson Huff. Thank you for listening. Be sure to join us next time where we will interview another amazing guest who is sure to make you laugh or make you think. Or hey, maybe even both. But until then, keep being awesome.